Hey everyone, it's Terry J Webb back with Tales from the Garage Kit Hobby. In doing AFM, I lucked out in meeting just a really amazing artist, really well put together guy, like we like to call him the Southern Gentleman, Mr. David Fisher. And I often get asked, and how did I hook up with old David Fisher? Well, it's an interesting story, and I'm going to tell you right now. Like I said earlier, I had met David basically just through the mail. He had started sending pictures into this magazine we were doing called Model and Toy Collector, and his stuff was really amazing. So, unbeknownst to me, he ended up showing up at the 1991 Wonderfest show. He came up and had introduced himself. And unbeknownst to me, he had entered several kits in the contest. I believe he entered 3 or 4. One was a Frankenstein kit. One was, I'll never forget, the one that I really remembered. It was Jeff Yeager's Curse of the Werewolf. And that's the famous one that he did where Jeff had sculpted it in this pose. Well, David was one of those unique fellows where he would always think outside the box. So he had modeled the famous, once the character had taken the gate off, he'd scratch build the gate, and he built the background for it. And that was something very unusual when David had come in with his entries. He had done these dioramas. Up until that point, most people were just building kits out of a box. So there was the known guys that were coming in, and they were, the good guys, and they were winning the awards and whatnot. Well, as it turns out, David had come in, and he just kicked everyone's ass. He literally won first, second, and third. So when I actually met him, he came over to my table and introduced himself. And I was shocked because I didn't expect to meet this guy. He lived down in Nashville, Tennessee. And it was just a surprise. It was unannounced or anything, but he'd been looking for me. People had pointed me out. He'd come over and introduced himself. Well, as he's introducing himself and we're talking, David's kits caused quite a commotion at that show. And a lot of the guys who were used to winning awards, I had noticed out of my corner of my eye, they were gathered over in the, because at this point they'd actually had the model contest in the dealer's room. So the contest tables ran right across in front of my tables. Well, David's stuff was off to the side, and I noticed there was this little crowd of guys gathering over off to the side, and they were all just looking at his stuff, and you could tell they were all worried. Well, I had judged the contest, and I already knew what the results were. So what had happened was David had come in and caused quite a commotion because we gave him one first, second, and third. He just took a sweep on it. So after that, the Louisville guys had amended the rules. That's when the open system came into play because of that. So even back then, David was just a master at doing this stuff. He's gotten, he's just really just, upped his game through the years. But at the time, even back then, he really stood out. So if you want to know how I met David Fisher, that's how I met him. He came up to introduce himself to me. He'd heard about the shows, and he actually had come 1 year earlier, I believe, and I never got to meet him. So I'm sure glad he stopped by because the results were well worth it. And there you go. Another tale from the GK Hobby. See you next time.